I'm Trey Larry with Allen Boone Humphreys Robinson. In December 1998, I had been working at Vincent & Elkins for about 3 months, getting adjusted to living in what the Houston press dubbed Joe B's world. It was the eve of a legislative session, so I walked down the hall to Joe B's corner office and humbly offered to carry his briefcase around the Capitol. He accepted, and together we walked the halls of the pink building behind me for the next 15 years. I think Joe B personally supervised the planting of trees and landscaping around every water and sewer plant in Houston. But Joe B's vision was much bigger than aesthetically pleasing treatment plants. He wanted parks and trails and green space, all built and operated by MUDs. If a MUD community wants a park, it should be able to pay for it. Developers respond to incentives, but MUDs couldn't offer incentives. MUDs had no mechanism to encourage open space. There was only one impediment, the Texas Constitution. So the answer to Joe B was simple: amend the Constitution. A legislative session is a marathon, but Joe B runs it like a sprint. Always push for things to be done faster, expedite at every turn. If someone offers to do something tomorrow, ask them why not today. And this work ethic paid off in 2003. Senator John Lindsay worked day and night to cobble together votes. To get them, we had to agree to pare back the legislation from statewide application to only certain counties. In the House, Representative Beverly Woolley was the chair of the Powerful Calendars Committee. Monday, May 12, 2003 was going to be our victory day. It was 15 days before the end of the session. Representative Bill Caligari had masterfully navigated the legislation through the House committees, and now we were at the top of the calendar. For days in advance, Joe B shook hands and twisted arms outside the House chamber. We needed 100 votes. In the end, we got it done. I mentioned we needed 100 votes. We got 130. The constitutional amendment was approved by the voters at a statewide election in November 2003. And this timing was critical too. And in the 15 years since, Texas voters have rejected every proposed constitutional amendment that authorizes a property tax. If it weren't done in 2003, it would never be done. You permanently changed the landscape of development in Houston practically overnight. You had the vision, and you led the charge. Thanks for taking me along for the ride. Houston Wilderness, thank you for recognizing the important role of MUDs in promoting the quality of life of Houstonians. And thank you for honoring my dear friend and mentor, Joe B. Allen.
It was my good fortune to have begun my career more than 29 years ago with Joe B. as my mentor. Times were quite different in 1990 when I worked as a summer clerk at Vincent & Elkins with Joe B. Houston was slowly climbing out of the oil bust of the late 1980s. While the Houston housing industry was struggling to survive and rebuild, Joe B. was forever an optimist about Houston's future. He was also extremely proud of the quality of the communities he helped to develop. I can remember driving with him on a tour, and his comments really focused on the quality of the development, trees, parks, and schools, but he knew more could be done to transform Houston development. He knew that quality of life could be impacted not just by the upper tier communities having parks and trails, but all communities. That vision led to a multi-year effort that you heard Trey Larry describe. I've been able to witness the transformation of communities that has resulted from Joe B's passage of the Parks Constitutional Amendment, legislation, and TCEQ rules. It has literally changed the land planning in suburban Houston and throughout Texas. Today, virtually all land plans in communities being developed include open spaces, parks, and trails. It has also resulted in the retrofit of many existing communities that have made the decision to upgrade public amenities. In short, parks and trails and upgraded amenities have become the norm, all because of Joe B's efforts. One example is Cinco Ranch, located in western Houston. Most of Cinco Ranch was developed prior to the park authorization. Although a top-tier community, much more could be done. The community voted $20 million in park bonds that were used for three primary purposes: adding more than 30 miles of trails along waterways and drainage facilities. These facilities are a tribute to Joe B's hard work, vision, creativity, and love for Houston. These parks will be Joe B's lasting legacy for generations to come. Congratulations, Joe B, for an honor well deserved.
I met Joe Allen in the 1970s when he first moved to Houston. Since then, Joe and I have worked on many developments and created MUDs, LIDs, management districts, special financing districts. Joe was on time for most of the serious meetings, but when he wasn't, we always had a special chair for him at the head of the table. Several of the more interesting projects were a 30-year development agreement we worked on with Missouri City in order to be able to develop Sienna. We are 23 years into it now and still working. Another project was Riverstone. Riverstone was in Missouri City and Sugar Land, so we had the opportunity to develop development agreements with both cities and getting a 404 permit from the Corps of Engineers so we could build a levee and the creation of the lid and several MUDs. One of the more important accomplishments for Joe was getting legislation passed through the Texas legislature granting park powers to the MUDs. With these park powers, we have been able to create the following: Camp Sienna, a 100-acre tract of land into a premier sports park along the Brazos River corridor. Camp Sienna is open to Sienna residents, the general public, and the facilities include baseball, softball, soccer, basketball, sandball, equestrian trails, miles of walking trails, and a scenic outlook over the river. In Riverstone, we use the same park power concept to create wetland areas, landscape our detention ponds, and make attractive parks. These park-like settings became great amenities for Riverstone. One other example is Cross Creek Ranch. The park powers enabled us to turn an unsightly 2-mile drainage ditch into a major outfall and park amenity available to the entire development and the city of Fulshear to use. We planted 20,000 trees and built walking trails, one of the most popular amenities in Cross Creek Ranch. Joe should be proud. He has definitely left a mark on this city and state with his vision to provide a vehicle that allowed parks and landscaping in the many developments that thousands of residents get to enjoy.
Hello, I am Jim Boone, Managing Partner at Allen Boone Humphreys Robinson Law Firm here in Houston. I first met Joe B. when I started working at Vincent & Elkins Law Firm in 1977. We worked together for 26 great years at Vincent & Elkins, and there was a lot of hard work and many wonderful times. In 2003, our entire Water District practice group left Vincent & Elkins and we formed Allen Boone Humphreys Robinson, where Joe and I worked together for another 9 years until he retired in 2012. He was our managing partner and performed that function extraordinarily well. Our firm's huge success is a direct reflection of Joe's tremendous leadership, vision, and work ethic. He was always a major advocate for quality infrastructure and quality development, and our firm continues that tradition proudly. We have used the park powers that Joe got passed through the legislature to develop fabulous green belts and trails and natural meandering wetlands and detention lakes that preserve and foster birds, animals, and aquatic life, generally providing all types of recreational areas that have substantially greened our developments. Since passage of the parks legislation, we have sold approximately $205 million in park bonds just in our MUDs. Since the legislation was passed in 2003, virtually all of our MUDs have voted park bonds and are either financing or developing parks or recreational areas and facilities. All of the other public finance law firms around the state that represent MUDs are doing the same thing. Thank you to Houston Wilderness for honoring Joe B. Allen today.
I'm pleased to be here today at the Houston Wilderness Luncheon honoring Joe B. Allen. I guess you might say I'm an improbable admirer and friend of Joe B. Allen. My relationship with Joe B. followed Harvey. Events such as Harvey shake up the status quo and caused me to search for information and answers wherever I could find them. Joe and I began to encounter each other at presentations and events and decided that we should have lunch and get to know each other a bit better. The Joe B. Allen I encountered was not the person I had assumed him to be. Over the last year and a half, I have come to know and respect a man who truly cares about his community and who is open to well-considered innovative concepts and ideas, including ideas I would classify as clearly green. We found common ground. The Joe B. Allen I came to know was not dismissive of ideas, even as he argued his. We came together on issues such as more green space being needed, that land could be set aside for multiple uses, including detention ponds and trails, goals we share with Houston Wilderness. I think we both feel that the replumbing of Houston will be a great opportunity for the city, a chance to get it right, a change that will be needed for us to thrive. And together with others, we help pass a bond issue that would help us into the future. In our time together, I've come to have great respect for Joe B. We don't agree on everything, but then again, agreement is not a criterion for friendship. Friendship comes from honesty, from trust, from respect, and from considered thoughtfulness. And today, I am proud to call Joe B. Allen my friend. Thank you, Joe, for helping me put aside preconceptions and for being who you are. A strong, honest voice, open to new ideas for the long-term strength of our community. I look forward to working with you in the future.